All right, let's get into Friday feedback. Really, one day early this week. You can email info@davidpakman.com. Why am I even wearing headphones? I don't even know how those got on me. I certainly don't need them right now. You can email info@davidpakman.com. You can reply on Facebook, YouTube, all of these platforms valid for Friday feedback. We'll start on Facebook with Cultal Aiders, who says in the last 10 days, the David Pakman Show has made 83 anti-Trump video segments. Now, of course, that's untrue. It would be fascinating if we even produced that many videos, but let's put aside the fact that that's nonsense. Okay, this hard obsession and derangement. Missing at least one word there. Liberals. Pakman has not made a single video on the Democrats' leadership plan to fix and help California fire victims. Thousands of property has been lost and lives has lost. Pakman focuses on what can fuel the hate of his followers. This is a great disservice to Americans. Pakman will spin and lie to Americans just so he can enough views and subscribers. Just so I can enough. Americans, we can do better. We should tune out from David Pakman and let the administration do their job. Okay, so aside from the abortive grammar, a lot of things are false here, including the claim that there has not been criticism of Democrats here. I mean, look, if you watch my video about why Kamala lost, it's 99% criticism of Democrats. If you look at videos earlier this week, it's here's what MAGA is doing. If Democrats can't take advantage of this, Democrats should give up as a political party. I've outlined in detail not only the shortcomings of the 2024 campaign from the standpoint of Democrats, I've also outlined the problems more generally with the current left-wing approach to certain issues and where it's either not going far enough or going too far. You could only come away with this view if you're deliberately paying attention to nothing I'm doing or deliberately misstating it. I think that if we are going to win again, we need to make some serious repairs. And I hope that the Democratic Party will do it. And remember, I'm not a Democrat. I don't even have an interest. I'm agnostic as to whether the changes I want to see go through the Democratic Party or not. It seems plausible that if they are going to happen in the next few years, they will, because there's no real outlet for progressivism and social democracy other than in little corners of the Democratic Party. But this email, that message could not be more wrong. Shane Dietz says prices are not going down. They will blame Biden for the economy for the next 4 years. Yeah, it's not they will. They're already starting to do it. Weeks before Donald Trump took office, he started with this whole, I'm still going to try to do the things I promised, bring prices down and this, that, the other thing. But Joe Biden has left us in such a bad position that I may not be able to do it. It may be really difficult. Biden might have screwed us so hard that I don't know that I'm going to be able to do all of this stuff. So it's not they're going to blame Biden. It's they're already blaming Biden by saying what Biden did was so bad. Even we, God's gift to politics, even we might not be able to solve it. And of course, it's hard to make that argument seriously when inflation was 2.9% in 2024. But we'll see what they come up with next. Skate Cloud over on the subreddit says, anyone have any optimism about anything politically? This feels too much like a fascist takeover of the country by absolute psychopaths. I wonder how anyone sees hope in these times, or if we're all fucked, at least politically. So here's the glimmer of hope or the silver lining. And this is sort of like whether you are an incrementalist or an accelerationist. Either way, there's a glimmer of hope here. If you're an incrementalist, the glimmer of hope is that it is now so cut and dry. Trump made a series of promises. We have the economic data as of the last day of Joe Biden's term. We're going to measure Trump promised free ponies for everyone, metaphorically, and either he will deliver on them or he won't. And if he doesn't, Republicans are set up for a drubbing in 2026 and 2028. That's one side. So if you're an incrementalist, well, they're going to be held accountable finally. On the other hand, if you don't believe they will be held accountable, and or you are an incrementalist, if they, meaning Trump, destroys things as badly as it seems he might, and I hope he doesn't, and I'll tell you the truth of it one way or the other. If he fails to do any of the stuff he promised, and it's total and absolute destruction by absolute psychopaths, as Skate Cloud states, then very quickly things will fall apart far, far worse than they did during Trump's first term. And then the accelerationists, to a degree, will get their wish, which is a far more broken down system from which they might be able to repair things. Les Johns says on the subreddit, if the right could form a Trump cult, why couldn't the left do the same with Bernie? Just short and simple. Why didn't the progressives/liberals respond to MAGA with getting together a cult supporting Bernie Sanders? Could that have drowned out Trumpism a bit? This is a reasonable question, but it's critical to understand a fundamental difference between what we call the left and the right today. Now, of course, left and right today mean different things than they did at times past. But one of the things that is critical to understand is that the left just doesn't care about elected officials as cult leader pseudo-deities. And I've explained this before. Trump loves to say, there's no way Biden won, as evidenced by there not being as many Biden bumper stickers or flags on people's boats or people turning their vehicles into gaudy, crass representations of the candidate they love. You didn't see that for Biden, and Trump's right. But that's because right now, there is not a sort of cultish framework on the left. I was a strong supporter of Bernie. I was abundantly clear in my mind about how much better Biden was than Trump in 2020. But I just go and vote, and then I move on with my day. I don't get bumper stickers. I don't put crap on my car or change all of my social media avatars to be idolatrous imagery of the person I voted for. I vote, and then I move on. And so part of the reason that we couldn't build a cult around Bernie is that it would be extraordinarily disingenuous. Now, I don't want to pretend that there isn't a sliver of cultishness. In fact, there was a little bit of a cult around Bernie, but it was small. It was just on the edges. There was a little bit of a cult around Tulsi Gabbard when she tricked some people on the left into thinking she was the last bastion of liberalism. But at a core level, we just don't do that crap. We vote by evaluating who's better, and then we just kind of move on with our day. Black number one was pleased about the very long show last week and wrote, hour and a half long, that's a record. Haven't listened yet, but this one will get an award. I know the bonus show has a ton of awards already, but this is the first regular show. Is this the first regular show award? One of the things that I said would just be no big deal when we got off of radio and television and just focused exclusively on online platforms, this was last August, was that the show can be whatever length there is. We don't have to stuff an hour and 20 minutes of content into 55 minutes to meet some arbitrary guidelines for broadcast. We just do the hour and 20-minute show. And indeed, we've had a bunch of shows over an hour, a few over 70 minutes. And yeah, I think last week we had like a super, super long show. We're here, right? I mean, this was part of the reason why I wanted to get off of those broadcast platforms. Glad you were enjoying it. Atheist Alex C. says Cenk Uygur looks even more ridiculous now. In David's recent discussion with Cenk, He went on and on about how much better MAGA is now, how much more open they are to fighting big corporate interests, and how they aren't towing the line of big business and corruption anymore. He also played down the accusations of fascism, saying they're more open-minded with better intentions now. Anna Kasparian has completely rejected the fascism label for MAGA too. After everything that has just happened in the last few days, this is even more laughable. I'm sorry, but I really don't buy that they are this clueless, especially since they pretended to care about the rise of fascism during the first Trump term. I'm convinced that they have to be grifting at this point. Self-preservation in an era that is obviously go MAGA or die now. What are your thoughts? Listen, I don't know what is the genuine belief of Cenk or Anna, or all I know is what Cenk said to me on the show. And as I said to Cenk, it sounds like you're simply naive about what we are to expect from MAGA. The first 7, 8, 9, 10 days of this second Trump term have proven that MAGA has no interest in cutting government spending, reducing cronyism, reducing corruption. They simply have no interest in that. Now, can we sort of goad or trick them into doing some things that we like? Maybe. I mean, we'll see, right? But it is abundantly clear that this is not a new MAGA that is ready to do whatever it is we think that they are going to do, or Cenk said. I still have no evidence that Cenk is a bad guy or lying or whatever. What I will say is there are others that are certainly jumping on the realization that this is a Trump term that is coming very hardcore. And there is fear. I've spoken to other progressive commentators. There is fear that they are going to come after us. And so you'd better get on board and say, I love what Trump is doing. Trump's not that bad. We're not doing that here. There may be consequences. I hope not. I will tell you if there are. But I'm going to keep calling it like I see it, which is what I've always done. Lanier DeRosa says, imagine a real Christian getting offended by a bishop asking for mercy. She has more courage than the entire Republican Party. This is a reference to the bishop who, when Trump went to, honestly, I don't even know what church. This was the day after being inaugurated. And this bishop sort of handed it to Trump and said, people are scared. Immigrants are scared. Have empathy. Have mercy. And Trump just kind of smirked, and J.D. Vance kind of smirked. It is absolutely true that if you are a real Christian follower of the gospel, as I understand it, and I acknowledge I don't understand it as well as others, right? There is no doubt that Jesus would be calling for empathy and kindness, where Trump's instinct is always harshness and these disgusting raids and all of it. And yeah, real Christians would listen to what the bishop said and say, that's actually Christianity. L. Pedum says, I forgot Vance existed. Yeah, one of the things we knew was that a good fit for Trump's VP is not someone who's going to get attention or take attention from Trump. Trump wants the attention. And part of the reason we're not hearing much from J.D. Vance is that that's the way it's designed. Trump wouldn't even want a vice president unless it were required. He wants to be just him. Look at the falling out he had with his last vice president. Look at how he's already starting to be on the rocks with Elon Musk, because Elon has been getting attention. So yeah, JD, expect to play, it's not even second fiddle. He's already like third or fourth behind Elon and, I don't know who else at this point, Zuckerberg, Bezos. But Vance was chosen in part because Trump calculated he's not going to get too much attention and take it away from you. We are now just weeks away from the release of my first ever nonfiction book, The Echo Machine. I invite you to pre-order a copy at davidpakman.com/book. Nearly 6,000 pre-orders, and I have only you to thank. I'll say more about what's coming up with book tour and other things very soon, and I'll see you on the bonus show.
Did you know that countless commercial databases and people search sites are storing your personal information? Anyone from an employer to a former partner can use these platforms to get details about your online presence, your home address, phone number, email, license plate, family members, financial information, even political views. Europe has laws that offer some protection, but in the US, the data is widely accessible. Even the FBI will buy this information from companies to spy on people without a search warrant. Our sponsor, Incogni, provides a solution. It takes just seconds to sign up, and Incogni will send removal requests to all of the major data brokers, legally compelling them to get rid of your data. Incogni keeps you informed throughout the process. You'll get real-time updates, who has complied, which ones are still pending. They'll handle follow-ups, they'll handle appeals on your behalf, and this will save you hundreds of hours. Very few people have the time or resources to do this on their own. This service can also reduce the number of spam calls and emails you get, since many solicitors and scammers get your information from these very same sources. Go to incogni.com/Pakman and use the code Pakman for 60% off. The link is below.